Is this going to go live? It's coming on. Excellent. Hello, coders. Happy Friday. Happy Friday morning. Today, I decided, as soon as I woke up today, I thought, why don't we try something a little bit different? Why don't today we upgrade to PHP 7.4? What could possibly go wrong with the application? Now, there's a couple of reasons why I would like to do this at this stage of the game. One is that we have these tests. We have 46 unit tests. I think with the acceptance test that goes up to sort of in the 50s. So we have tests. We know that there is things on this that are tested. So that is good. Another reason is that we've done a lot of work with getting the XDebug working, getting the router working, and so forth. I think right now, before I move into any other waters of PHP, that perhaps we should look at the foundation works. Also, I don't expect this to work because PHP 7.4 is in its alpha version at the moment. I certainly don't expect this to work. And if it doesn't work, then we haven't actually lost anything at the moment. We're using Docker, and that's a great way of switching in different versions of PHP and so forth. We're currently on PHP 7.2, I believe. Let me just double check. Let's go back into the code. It's, if I bring that down, sorry, I was just running the test this morning just to make sure everything works. So if I go into the Docker file, we are running PHP 7.2. So ideally, I would like to get this to PHP 7.4. So there is a couple of stages in between, obviously, PHP 7.3 and so forth. Now, I see this, when I look at the requirement of let's upgrade a system, what I see happening is that the current ground that you're on is what I term stable ground, right? This is stuff that we know works. We have tests to back up the fact that these things work. So this is stable ground. And I either use the words or use the term going up the ladder or going to a different island. Because when you're walking the ladder, you're going up the ruts in the ladder. You're going right up to, in order to get to PHP 7.4, I need to upgrade to 7.3, upgrade to 7.3.6, and or whatever the next version is. And then finally, when I get to the top run, that is where I want to be. That is my destination. With the analogy of jumping islands, island hopping, I see that like you're on stable ground right now. You're on stable. You've got nice cement on the island. You know exactly where you are. You're not. The sand isn't coming away at your foundations. You have a good solid test suite. But you want to hop from one island to the next island, and you've never crossed into that island. You've never crossed over into the ocean before, and you don't know what's there. You don't know what could bite you along the way. What kind of nasty creatures and bugs are in the ocean. So instead of jumping from two islands to get to your final destination and swimming around PHP 7.3, I highly recommend you do it in incremental steps. So you go to PHP 7.3 first and then 7.4 and so forth. But today, we're just having a play. I really don't think this is going to work. And if it does work, then that would be fantastic, right? That would be fantastic. And if it doesn't work, then we haven't actually gained or lost anything, because right now we know that this is stable. And I'm doing this on a Friday because I actually didn't think I would get the XDebug working this quickly in this week. So I'm kind of using this as a sort of a free opportunity. So anyway, we're on 7.2 here. We would like to get that to 7.3. If I go Docker images, we have 7.3. We've got 7.3 Apache. That was built a couple of weeks back. And I think what I'm going to do is just do a nice clean clean install of that, just to make sure that there's no cache problems. So I'm just going to do a Docker RMI just to remove it. We're just going to grab that. So we're going to remove those so you can see all the layers that have gone there. So Docker images. Let's make that a bit taller. Okay, so that is our stable island. That's our stable ground, PHP 7.2 Apache. So we know that we can flip back to that, and we know that that works. Okay. If I have a look at the old Docker file, these are the things that could possibly break. Okay, so we're requiring the base image, so that will be changed, and then everything under here are possible things that might break. So, for example, we may need to change the different libraries, that we're pulling in here. So we may have to change the way we get mcrypt, the way we do libpungs and all of this stuff. To be fair, we don't actually need to do any of the GD stuff. I'm surprised I didn't take that out already. But those things might fail and might break. Now, looking at this, we do have a lot of unused stuff, as I've just mentioned. So sometimes it's worth just removing that and culling that and getting down to the minimal file. I'm not going to do that right now because that will take a little bit of trial and error. And the thing is, with this Docker stuff, it does take a little bit of time because you're having to build images and download bits and pieces and stuff. So I'm going to just try and see if I can get this working. My fear of things that are my sort of intuition, I guess, my instinct of where things might break are XDebug, Microp, and some of the lib bits and pieces, because I've had experience before with XDebug breaking with, I think it was a version of 7.3 perhaps, or a version of 7.2 a while back, and here we're forcing that Microp needs to be that particular version. So there might be requirements that these might need to change. Other issues that might arise back in our code composer file here, these things may fall down. So we might have problems with codeception and all that stuff. However, I haven't actually enforced the version of PHP in here, which perhaps I should have done, but I haven't done. That's no great shakes. Okay, let's just try and do this. So I've removed PHP 7.3. So let's just run that. And I've ran the test this morning, so I know that the tests will work. So we're just going to bump that up to 7.3 and see what happens. Let's just do a Docker. Let's do an up, compose, and then do a build. So that will hopefully build it. It's going to get it from PHP 7.3. And what we do is, once this is all running, if it runs, first of all, if it runs and the images build and the containers build, that's the first win, right? That's our first feedback loop that this is actually going in the right direction. The second feedback loop, obviously, is to rerun the unit tests. And if they work, then yeah, it's champagne all round, really. So whilst this is going, I think what I'm going to do is just take a look at the old browser. We're on the Docker Hub. This is the PHP official image. I'm just going to see if I can make that a little bit. Can I make that a bit bigger? Yeah. I've screwed up the image now, but anyway, so you guys can read it. So we have these are all the things that we might be playing with. The PHP 7.4 alpha. There is, where are we? I did see one this morning. Where was it? It's the Apache job. Here we go. No, that's 7.3.6 Apache stretch. I'm sure I did see alpha stretch TZ FM. Here we go. Sorry, It was the second one. PHP 7.4 Alpha 2, Apache Stretch, RC Apache, and Apache 2. So I'm hoping to just bump that up in the from command and run that. You can also click into here. Come on. And you can actually see the actual image. So if I make that a bit bigger, you can see. So you can see that there's 4 contributors to this. So which is nice. You can see who is contributing to it as well, which is great. And you can actually see how it was actually built. I should mention that I attempted to compile PHP 7.4 on my MacBook Pro about a week ago, just out of sheer fun. The stuff you do on a Friday evening, and it failed. So I'm not too sure whether that was a problem with my MacBook Pro not having the right bits and pieces to make that compile work, or whether that was a fundamental issue in PHP 7.4. I don't know. Probably my Mac Pro, to be honest, because I had heard other people were getting that working. So it's probably my Mac Pro. But you can see here how the Docker image is actually built for 7.4. This is the base image, which I think is, I mean, it's so handy. When I started out, we had none of this. The PHP was just some black magic that you installed using a LAMP stack or a WAMP stack or something like that. It kind of came with a executable that you downloaded off of, like, perhaps Apache or something. Yeah, whatever. So that's good. Let's go back to the code and see how that is going. Let's go back to here. We can see that this is all compiling, and we don't seem to have any errors. What's that red message? Warning, libzib is needed for encryption support. So yeah, that could be the first problem. Something about simple XML is already loaded. Oh, another problem that I may find is that we are actually using a custom PHP ini file. This is something that we did the other day to get XDebug running. So we might have issues with that. Perhaps, if they've changed something in the PHP ini, fundamentally, that we might have issues with that. So there's various places where we could get hit. And here is one. We've got a problem here. We've got a problem. Microp does not exist. We're also seeing a couple of issues here with different SOVs. So these are modules. Just grab my cup of tea. So yeah, we've already hit a bit of sand here. We've already hit a bit of treacherous water coming off of our nice stable island. So this has certainly put my confidence levels down. That this isn't going to be working. And a bit about confidence levels. When let's say someone asks you to do something and that you don't actually know how long it's going to take, you should have this confidence timer ticker in your back of your head. I think whenever you hit these things. I wasn't even aware that this could. I had an inclination that we could have a problem with Mcrypt, but this is just not that confidence bar down a bit. So error, Microp does not exist. Usage is Docker exe enable module name blah 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 blah. Gives you some examples here. Obviously not the example of Microp. Then in possible values. So it's a definite issue with Microp. We can go up a little bit and see if there is any other errors. So we've got that libzib jobby. Anything else? No, I can't get to the rest of that. Okay, so let's have a look and see how Micrypt is actually being running. So we go to the Docker file. I'm wondering if it's this here. I'm wondering if we just change that to just mcrypt, so we don't actually force a particular value. I'm wondering also if they've altered it so it's not running in Plek anymore. But we'll see. Micrypt dev is being ran here, so let's just run this again and see if that change has worked. This, like I said before, this can be extremely trial and error, and it can take a lot of time. And it's one of those things where it's very difficult to estimate how long this is going to take, because, you know, who knows what could if this passes, Microp works, then who knows what else might be broken. It's also worth having a quick Google. So PHP Docker, and it's PHP 7.4 Docker, and I'm looking for Micrypt, just to, you know, put in the headlines. I'm just having a quick look at I'm having a look at a quick Stack Overflow post whilst that runs down. There's someone saying that Microp extension is not provided with PHP since 7.2, which is why we were using that version, but instead available through a Plek. So that's why we were using that. To install Plek extension, used Plek install, which we were doing, and then compile it and then enable it. Let's have a little look and see what we were doing. So I've taken off the version, which is probably a bad idea, because in this example we've got 1.0.2. I think before we had 1.0.1. And were we enabling it? We were enabling it. Yeah. Okay. Another thing we can do, we could do is split this Docker file up into a series of run instructions. That way we know that you know, a layer above has worked. That means we wouldn't have to rebuild that layer above. Of course, what I'm doing here is, because I've changed this portion of the run instruction, this whole run instruction needs to work. And, you know, it does, to be honest. We do have to recompile it. So that Stack Overflow post that I just saw also mentions that we need to put that in as well. Libdev, why are we doing that twice? That's really weird. Can you see that? I've put that in twice. That is a problem. Let's remove that from here. And then on the next instance, hopefully we'll have let's just make sure that that is the case. Yeah, that is the case. Exactly the same. Remove that. So, I mean, I like doing these kind of things because it does put the microscope on this Docker file. I didn't even know that was a duplicate there. That was my mistake. So, and that would probably throw a warning or some sort of flag, which you might pick up and think that is a bug, but it's not. It's actually just a warning. Okay, let me see. So people are suggesting to use various different versions of Microp. So like 1.0.1 and 1.0.2. There may even be a particular version of of that. So we still have the same issue. This is saying that Microp doesn't exist. Yeah. So people are suggesting to bump it up to 1.0.2, which is what I'm going to do. So we'll quickly run that again. Yep, this is looking good. So libdev, micropdev, blah, 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 blah. And then we install Micrypt. Okay, we could also look at the core extensions in the Docker images. We could try that. I could perhaps inherit the base images. Oh, that's interesting. And write your own Docker file like this. Okay, so what I'm looking at here, if that loads, we're running on 7.3. I don't need that tab. We're running on 7.3. Has that failed again? Nope, that's still working through its thing. So this is what I'm going through at the moment. This is the 7.4 version. Let's go back and go into 7.3 because that's where we're at. So let's do 7.3 free Apache. Where are you, Apache? Apache Alpine Stretch Apache. Okay, so I'm just going running through here. We've got all of these things. That's all good and fun. Don't need to worry about those flags. We've got libdev curl, XML. Okay. Enable FTP, MySQL curl, and all that stuff. So these are all the flags that are used to configure it and stuff, which is all good. And then we run a smoke test once that's all clear. All right, there's nothing in here which is indicating MB Crypt at all. And maybe this is an extension that I have to just download elsewhere. And then you start asking questions of why do I actually need Microp? Do I actually need it? Possibly not. Let's see if we can just run it without it. Let's see if we can run the whole thing without it. So we can comment that out. And I mean, I've spelt it wrong for a start. But let's see if we can run that, run the whole thing without it. Da, da, da. Yeah, this is doing a cache bust, which is the thing that's taking the time, because every time I run this, we're doing an apt-get update and an apt-get install all of those things. It's the update which might take a bit of time, although I suppose we'd best keep to that. Oh, I've seen an issue. Let's remove that too. Whoa, stop. Right, build. Because I'm not sure if there's anything in Composer that requires Microp, unless there is an extension off of the back of one of these three that require Microp, or some library that is a dependency, I should say. But I'm not too sure. It's something that I would rather have a bare bones setup initially. So looking at that Docker file, it's full of rubbish that we don't actually need. Like we don't need any of the JPEG and the PONGs and the GDs. We don't even need to have the XMLs in here. This is too much. So I think I might do a bit of a culling if this doesn't succeed. Yeah. Do. So whilst this is doing its thing, today is Friday and we've got a podcast. We have a podcast every Friday. If you go to howtocodewell.fm, you'll be able to see all the previous podcasts that I've done. Every week I have a guest on the show, and the guest, let's go back to the code, sorry. And the guest talks about an area of web development, or talks about a project that they're working on, or talks about their development journey. They give sometimes they can give some great advice, and discuss what they're doing, how they got there, those kind of things. I've spoken to all sorts of different people in different areas of web development and programming. Some teachers, some developers, some project managers, some hiring managers, some people who work at massive companies, some who work at small companies, some who wear all the hats, and some who only wear one. It's brilliant. Today we have Emma Widkind on the show, and which I'm super happy about. And she has some amazing advice to give developers who would like to become a better developer. So that's going to be on the howtocodewell.fm site later on today. It'll also, we do a video of this. This is on YouTube as well. So it's on YouTube, and the audio is going to be on Spotify and on Apple, whatever they use these days, iTunes. It's a great way for me to talk about web development to people who are passionate about web development. So if you haven't done so already, please do check out the howtocodewell.fm site, because I've got some fantastic guests on the show, and it'll be lovely to for them to talk about what they get up to. It's a great thing. So I've just seen this is now passed, which is awesome. So let's do a docker ps-a just to make sure that those things are running. We can see that that's been up. These things here, these containers that have failed, they're the previous containers that tried to, they didn't quite make the mustard. They were failing. Now we have removed mcrypt, right? So if we scroll down here, we have removed that, which means that, in order to go forward, we've had to cut off a piece of our, one of our limbs. So the first thing we need to do is run a test to make sure that this is actually working. So let's do a test. Let's do a run of a unit test. They are all working. That's looking awesome. Let's do a quick smoke test. Let's go to the browser. Let's go back to the browser here. Refresh that page. That is working. Go to invoices. That's working. 1, 2, 3. That is working. Awesome. That's all good. Okay. So we did that in half hour. Let's see if we can knock it up a notch. Go into the code again. Let's see if we can get this all the way up. So we don't need you, and that's fine. We probably don't need a lot of this stuff, to be honest. Should I take this opportunity to get rid of all of this, or should I just jump that up to 4? Let's jump that up to 4 and see if this goes through the paces. So this is great, because now we have, that can't be found, can it? Because I've spelt that wrong. Let's go back to the browser and actually get the right name of all of this. I think it's up. It is 7.4 RC Apache, I think is the way we want to go. So let's try that. So 7.4, it's 7.4 Sorry, too many windows. 7.4, and then it was RC. Whoopsie. No, Magic Mouse, stop that. Every time I do a live stream. 7.4, 7.4 RC Apache. Is that it? Is that the one? Let's have a go. Come on, pick it up. Yeah. Oh, we're now properly sailing into unknown waters here. We've jumped from the island of 7.2 to 7.3, and the unit tests have all passed. The pages are all working. So now let's move on to 7.4 and see if that works. If it doesn't work, then we haven't lost anything. We've actually gained moving to 7.3, if anything. But we'll see. We'll see. This is where things start falling apart and becoming a little bit flaky. But here we go. We're doing the big compile now, or we're doing the pulling of various bits and pieces. So because it's in RC, this is going to be updated quite frequently, which means that we're going to have to do this process often, which is fine. When you accept the fact that you're on the bleeding edge, you kind of need to do these things, and you need to expect error. It's part of the parcel when you're doing this stuff. I certainly do not recommend anybody doing this for production. No. This should only be done for testing environments. We're working on things that are not even. We're still in alpha release yet. So this is the time where the PHP internal team are trying to get bugs right. They've put this out to get bugs from the community, which will then help them move this out of alpha quickly. So expect problems is kind of the mantra, which is fine. So whilst this continues on its merry journey into the land of PHP 7.4, I'm just going to grab a drink here. My throat is getting quite tired. I'd be interested to know if anybody who's watching, either on the Twitch or on YouTube when this goes out, is running PHP 7.4 currently. We had a red message there. What was that about? Okay, that's fine. That's just app utils is not installed. That's okay. That's just a bit of a red herring. Whoa, Plek not found. Wow. Okay. Okay, that's a bit of a major issue. Because if Plek can't be found, then we can't run XDebug because we can't install XDebug. Whoa. Right. Back to the old Google. PHP 7.4, and we're looking for Docker, and we're using Plek. Not found. Doesn't appear to be many results. Of course, it helps if I spell Plek right. Dyslexia. I love you. No, that still doesn't appear to be anything in here. Installing extensions from source on your Docker file. Ooh. So I'm just reading this. Let's go back to the browser here. I'm reading this post here. By Olivia, and she is running PHP 7.4. Pair is disabled by default, which means that Plek is no longer available to install extensions. Dun, dun, dun. This is the issue. Thank you very much for writing this post. I love the PHP community. There is a number of reasons of that decision, so we'll have a make do, blah, blah, blah. It took me a few hours to update the Docker file and replace Plek calls with manual installations. She was saying that MongoDB was one of the quite tricky jobbies. I wrote this article because I wanted to play with PHP 7.4, but hit a wall installing extensions. I hope this will help someone. Yes, it will. It will help me. So we have, this is how it's doing. So Plek channel update, plek.php.net. So we're updating the channel. Scripts available in the Docker image. What was she using? PHP 7.3. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Install Redis, install Mongo, install finally a Docker file without Plek. This is our final Docker file without Plek. It's quite verbose, but now we can play with PHP 7.4 or even PHP 8. Whoa. Okay. We're not shooting that far in the sky yet, but okay, so what's happening here is that we're using multi-stage builds. So we're building it from okay, this is a little complicated. I mean for this stream, as in the next couple of minutes left on the stream, sort of half hour. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to fit all of this in because this is running multi-stage builds. But let's see if we can work this through. So we have that's installing all of this stuff. Initial Docker file with Plek. Here we go. Plek channel, all of these things. Plek install. Let's give that a go. Let's give that a go. So, okay, so what we need to do is after the apt-get update, let's go back to the code. After the apt-get update, which is up here, or after the install, I should say, is we need to have this and Plek channel update. Plek.p. Whoa. I think that's what we need. Let's go back to the browser here and just to have a gander. Now what we're doing is we're compiling Redis. I don't know. This is the Docker file of the base image for one of my services. It will be our starting point. We have a bunch of extensions in there. Some are bundled with PHP like sockets or opcache. Some need to be installed manually like APC, Redis, or MongoDB. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's just give that a blast and see if this channel update thing does work. I'm not overly confident because yeah, I'm not overly confident. I'm certainly not overly confident here. But you know, this is all trial and error, right? Let's run this. Oh, did that? Hang on, what's going on here? Did that fail just quickly? Yeah, it did fail. Scroll up. Syntax and. Yeah. Oops. There we go. Yep. Come on. Yep. Awesome. This is all a bit black magic to me. This is a little bit of a mystery, really. Some of these things are in Plek and some of these aren't in Plek. I don't really know why. I don't know the reason why. I'm sure that there is some justifiable reason why things are in Plek and things aren't in Plek. And that's fine. People better than myself will know. So you just got to work with it, you know. It's a showstopper to not have XDebug. That is the crucial showstopper here. If I can't get XDebug running off of PHP 7.4, and PHP 7.4 is not ready, or XDebug isn't ready for this project. That is the you know, the standard that I need to keep to. I can't remove my debugging utilities just to get this working. And when you do all these sort of processes of upgrading, you have to really decide what it is that you want. Like, for example, beforehand, I took the decision to remove Microp, Mcrypt or whatever, however it's spelled. And I removed that because I looked back at the composer.json and I made a conscious call there that I didn't think that anything needed that, and therefore I removed it. However, we definitely need XDebug, so we cannot go any further unless we have XDebug working. So here we have another issue here. Well, the same issue, Plek cannot be found. I've got a horrible feeling that I'm going to have to do something else to these libraries to get Plek running for some reason. Yeah. It's an interesting one. This post is just mentioning running apt-get update and then Plek channel, which doesn't make any sense to me, because I think there needs to be something above on the browser. I think there needs to be something, you know, here between the apt-get update and the Plek, because I'm getting unless we're looking at completely different errors here, issues here, because at this point Plek isn't installed. Unless it's installed in here, you know, but the whole point of this post was that, you know, which means that Plek is no longer available to install in extensions. Oh, sorry. Here we go. Edit. I think I found a simpler solution using Plek packages. Let's load that page up. Simpler solution. Okay, a script to get packages from the repository. Okay, using PHP. Here's a PHP 7.4 alpha. 0 alpha 1. Docker copy get. Okay, so we're putting that whole script into here. Okay, so we're copying that in, and then what we're doing is we're running all of these things to install, get, and so forth, extract. Yeah, I certainly appreciate this. Definitely, this is a really, really helpful article. But I'm just of the opinion that this is now moving deeper into the waters, and I'm not sure really. I mean, let's think about this. What is it that is failing? Why do we need to have Plek? We need to have Plek because we need to have XDebug running. Therefore, is there another way of installing XDebug that bypasses all of this stuff? If the answer to that question is no, then we were going to have to continue down this road. And we don't even know yet if XDebug itself can run on 7.4. Also, it's come to my attention that 7.4. This will need to be updated and proceed. Install source. Plek won't work and available on base images. Thank you for your alias method. It worked perfectly. Yeah. So there's people on GitHub mentioning that we've got issues with XDebug on 7.4 because of this Plek problem. So it looks like I'm going to have to keep going down this path. It's come to my attention that we're not actually running on the alpha jobby. We're just running off of the RC, and I'm not sure if there's a difference. But at least that's something we could try. We've got, what, 15 minutes-ish of the stream left. So I assume basic knowledge of blah, 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 blah. No, that was removed. Configure PHP XDebug for Docker regardless of hosting operating system. Nope. Yeah. Let's come off of that. Okay, so what do we need here? We need a script. We need a bash script, just a shell script. To help with I create a script. Awesome. I love it when people make scripts and put it on their blogs. Simple to the script already available in the PHP base image, and I called it that. Docker exe get, following the naming pattern. Awesome. Cool. Conventions are good. Okay, so we do all this stuff. We do all that stuff, and then that does that. That's all good. Then using it in a Docker file, blah, 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 blah. Mongo. Okay, right. Why not? So first things first, we need to change the, on the code, we need to change that up here because this is running off of RC, and I believe we need to run off of Alpha 2. So if I go back to the browser, I think we need to run off of Alpha 2. So it's 7.4.0.0 Alpha 2. I'm not sure if I can copy that. I don't know if that's going to allow me to do that. Go back to the code here. Now I don't know if there's any difference between this, but let's move it up. Alpha 2. Okay, so that's the first thing. Let's just run this with Alpha 2. It's always good to just do small little increments, because if you're already in shaky ground, and you change too much, then you don't know what you've changed and what has failed. If you get a failure, you don't know if it's part of, thing A that you've changed or thing B that you've changed. So it's always good to do it in small little incremental steps. This change that I've done here, we're having to download a whole new image. So this is actually quite a major change because we've changed the base image. And who knows, this might just come out and work, but I doubt it. But at least we would have downloaded the base image here. Yeah. If I can't get this to work in the next sort of 10 minutes or so, I'll take a judgment call, run it back to PHP 7.3, and then revert the changes that I've done in the Docker file. At least then we have upgraded it to 7.3 from 7.2. So this stream hasn't been just pointless. We are still moving this application in the right direction. Yeah, so it's slowly making its merry way down, downloading all of those bits and pieces. Yeah, it's a problem doing all of this in a stream because you're having to download an awful lot of stuff. And like I said, it's very trial and error. Very, very trial and error. The Plek problem is that, isn't it? There isn't anything. I'm just checking the code, making sure that there isn't anything that references this. No. Okay, scroll to the bottom. Have we? No, we are still downloading it. Okay. And then we enable that. GD and zip. Okay, then we configure zip and configure GD. None of these are duplicated. These are all good. Libzip, unzip. Libzip dev. Nope, that's lib1g dev. Don't really know what the difference is there. Okay, so this is now doing it. It's doing all the magic. Fingers crossed. Now I certainly could use that that script, definitely. My only concern is that we are relying upon that script from now on in, and so I would need to excuse me, swap out that script at some point, because it's always good to go back to the defaults if the defaults work. If the defaults don't work, then you obviously need to have these workarounds, but you need to be aware of when the defaults do work. So that would be a concern. You're now relying upon this script to work, and it is definitely going to work, right? Because this person's got this working, and I've got every confidence in this. But what I'm saying is that you've now coupled your PHP version to this script here, and ideally you want to get it to a point where it just works off the bat, like we've had before. So I would have to keep an eye on this, and I have to keep an eye on when the PHP gets upgraded, and see if I can swap that script out for the standard process, because you don't want to be in a position where you are where you are trying to do all sorts of different things. Notice that we are winning. We have downloaded XDebug, and we have updated the Plek. Oh wow! This is happy days. This is good. This is good stuff. Although we have another error. What's going on? Error service failed. Error pair temp XDebug configure. It's failing. Oh, here we go. Hang on a minute. What's happened here? Configure report not supported. Need PHP version which is greater than or equal to 7.0.0 and less than 7.4, and found 7.4 alpha 2. Okay, so there is a problem with the version of XDebug and the version of 7.4. And let's see if we can force that through. I'm so happy that the Plek ran. Big shout out to the person who wrote that blog. I'll put links, I think, in the show notes to that, because I wouldn't have got this far without that. So this is a problem with the version. This is the line here. So we're configuring it with PHP, and it's failed because of this particular version. Now, how do we go about manipulating the XDebug? I believe there is a way of doing that. Let's go to XDebug. PHP 7.4. I believe there is a way of doing this. You can actually define the version of XDebug that you want to use. PHP 7.4. 7.4. Nope, that's not running through. Let's see. Must include, debugger and profiler tool. Ba ba ba. Ba 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 ba. Okay. I'm just reading the stuff with on the blog here of XDebug, just to see if there is anything that is, fundamentally not going to work. But it appears to. I just want to see if there is a way of getting the step debugger. Nope. Here we go. 7.2, 7.3, 7.1, PHP 7.4. Nope, that's not going to show. That's frustrating. That's annoying. That's very annoying. Nope. So the XDebug website, I always get this confused because I go onto this site whenever I'm doing these things, because there's always a thing I need to change for XDebug to work with different versions of PHP. But when I've got multiple tabs open, I'll show you. The X of XDebug. You can't see it because of the because of the way the OBS stream's set up. But anyway, what I'm saying is the favicon of the XDebug is an X, and it's on the other side of where you close the tab. And I keep clicking the X thinking I'm going to close the tab, but I'm not. So there doesn't appear to be a release candidate for 7.4. We have release candidates for 7.3, but not for 7.4. Okay, we go all the way back to 5.6. Yeah. So that to me indicates that perhaps I'm going to have to do a little bit more crazy work with getting that to work. Let's go back to the coder. Yeah. I could possibly compile it somehow. I'm kind of looking for a way someone has used this. What I'm looking for is a version. That's what I'm looking for. A version. There's like 2.7.1. Let's see if it's on GitHub. GitHub. Of course it's going to be on GitHub. Why wouldn't it be on GitHub? Adding nightly builds for 7.4. Yeah, okay. So there has been a lot of work on this. Of course there has. Of course there has. Yeah, definitely. I think for now, I think what I'm going to do, I need to take a judgment call. So I think for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to revert back to 7.3. So I think because I know that that was working beforehand, and then I think I'll probably attempt to go to 7.4 later on, maybe when I've got a little bit more time to work with. I certainly don't want to leave this in a broken state. So, and because this, because the, I need to crack on and do other bits and pieces and stuff. I think I need to now gracefully bow out and do and go back to what it was. So I'm going to revert it back, and we're going to just bump that up to 7.3. That's where we were before. We know that we don't need Mcrypt anymore, so that can go. We know that we have, what was that? That was duplicated, so that can go. We don't need the Mcrypt at all. So we have slowly tidied this up, at least. Okay, I'm going to just do a quick build on that. Hopefully this should work. And then what I'll do is I'll do a system prune just to, yeah, so that worked. And that went really quickly because we had built it before. Let me just do a quick Docker system prune just to make sure that we do remove all the things. We've reclaimed 1.3.1 gigabytes, so that's always good. Let's do Docker ps-a. We have that container up and running, which is all good. And if we did a Docker images, we can see that we have all of the things that we've attempted to run. So we're on this one here, 7.3. We can remove 7.2. We no longer need that. Although before I do that, let's just do a sanity check. Let's do a run of the unit tests. Yeah, so they all pass. Good. I'm happy with that. So let's now just do a Docker images. Let's do a Docker RMI, and we're going to remove 7.2, which is that ID here. Going to copy that in, paste that in, bye-bye. So let's have another look at that. Docker images. Now we also know that the one that failed was this one here, which is the RC. So we're going to remove that too. We're just going to clean our system up. Docker RMI -F, or we don't need a -F, but whatever. Then Docker images again. Okay, so this is where we're on. This is the latest one. The Alpha 2 Apache is the one that was working but doesn't work with XDebug. And 7.3 is the one we're on at the moment, and this is the MySQL, which I'll be focusing on later in the later shows, I guess. So don't worry too much about that. Let's just make sure another sanity check. Let's do another run of these things. Let's also go back to the browser and make sure that the actual page is running as expected. So let's refresh the page. Home and invoices 1, 2, 3. That's all good. Let's now just jump into the box. So let's go into, whoa, can I do BASH? Yep. So we're now on the container, and if I did PHP-V, we can see that we've got PHP 3.6, and we're running XDebug version 2.7.2. So we know that this is the version of XDebug that works. I guess also what I could do is I could run this with coverage as well, just to ensure that the coverage is working as expected. Which it is, and also let's just generate those reports. Let's have a look at those things. Scroll. Go into the tests, go into, where are we? Output. Click on coverage. Yep, and then index, and then from here I jump onto. Sorry, you're not seeing any of this. Sorry, coverage, and then so I've just generated those reports. Just ran the coverage report here, doing all of those good things, making sure that that all works. That rebuilds the coverage that we were looking at yesterday. So that's now having to re-index those files. Come on, PHP Storm, awesome. And then I hit that, go into the browser, and we can see that. Let's bring that up a little bit so you can actually see it. We can actually see what we've tested and what we haven't tested. So we're back where we were yesterday, but we're running off of a PHP 7.3.6, which is certainly better than PHP 7.2. So, you know, everybody's a winner. It's one of those things. I didn't expect me to just get PHP 7.4 running off of the bat. You know, that was a tall order. So I think what we'll do is I'll when I have a bit of time, I'll have a little play and see if we can get XDebug running, a different version of it, if there is a version available. And then if it does work, then I'll report back. But yeah, I think I think today's been quite good. I think there has been progress made. We're finally on 7.3, which means that we can use the 7.3 goodness. But yeah. So as I mentioned before, we have Emma coming on the show, Emma Whitkind, and she is going to be talking about how to become a better developer. This is on the podcast, howtocodewell.fm. It will be out later on today. It'll be on the YouTube, so it'll be on the How to Code Well YouTube channel. So if you haven't yet subscribed, please do subscribe there. Also, it's going to be on the podcast, which is the audio version. So if you use things like Spotify or iTunes or Google Play or Stitcher or anything like that, that allows you to get podcasts, then do check out the How to Code Well. It's all How to Code Well podcast. And yeah, we have a guest on every Friday. Every Friday there is a guest. And there's been a guest on since, I think, the start of the year. So we have a number of guests talking about a number of things in PHP, in web development and in programming, as well as in PHP as well. We had Oliver talking about Drupal. So if you're a Drupal developer, do check that out. We've also had people talking about, you know, how to build CVs and how to, you know, conduct themselves, how, you know, soft skills, how to improve their interview techniques, all of those kind of things. We've talked about mental health. We've talked about how to be just compassionate when coding, and what that means. So yeah, it's I really like doing these things because I really like talking to people and hearing their stories, hearing how they got into the industry and getting any advice that they can offer to both me and to the audience, and it's really good. So if you haven't done so already, please do check that out. That's howtocodewell.fm. That's the site. Do check that out, and also do check out the YouTubes as well. This live stream will probably go on YouTube either the weekend or on Monday. So if you're watching this on YouTube, this is probably like going to be in the past. So this interview with Emma would already be there. That's what I'm trying to say. But anyway, happy coding, everyone. Thanks ever so much for watching. And we will eventually get to 7.4, I promise, at some point in this project. That is my commitment to you. But anyway, thank you ever so much for watching. Happy coding, happy Friday, and I'll see you soon. Cheers. Bye.